Okay. We're going to look at some adding of fractions here right now. Pretty simple stuff to start with. And actually the adding that you're going to do is not tricky, but where it does become a little bit tricky is some of the stuff that goes along with it in terms of the lowest terms and even just the way that it looks on paper. So for example, if in words I would say, 1 plus 1 is 2, that's pretty easy to figure out. I can even say 1/6 plus 1/6. It sort of makes sense that that would be 2/6. But when you see that written down, sometimes people get a little bit concerned. So let's take a look here. This is the notes in the booklet that you've got, and see what we can come up with here. So we're going to add these fractions together. We want to write our fraction in our answer in lowest terms. So we want to say 1/6 plus 1/6. Well, let's show what 1/6 would look like. So we'll shade in 1/6 of this little bar, or this little strip of fraction here, and 1/6 of this one. All right, so we've got these two pieces, and so we add them together, and so now we've got two of these little shaded pieces. So one here, all together. So right off the bat, we should be able to see 1/6 plus 1/6 should equal 2/6. Because again, we've got two of these shaded, and one whole is represented by the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces there. We've shaded in two of them. A little bit here we got to look at. Write your answer in lowest terms. Here we got to use our divisibility rules just a little bit. Say, oh, these are both even. I should be able to divide top and bottom by 2. So I want to divide the top by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 2. We divide the bottom by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And I said 2 divided by 2 is equal to 2. It's not. 2 divided by 2 equals 1. And 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So our answer there is going to be 1/3. All right. And that sort of makes sense because we can say, well, this is divided into 6 pieces. But if I change where my divisions are, I can say, well, I've got 1 chunk, 2 chunks, 3 chunks. And I've shaded in one of the whole chunks. Moving on then to example number 2. 1/4 plus 1/4. Again, we could shade that in here. It's coloring outside the lines. 1/4 there, 1/4 here. Okay, so we add those together. Now we've got down here, we have 2/4. 2 out of the 4 chunks are shaded in. So it's equal to 2. Oh, that's a terrible 2. Oh well, 2/4. This is why you listen in. So we've got 2/4 there, and what we should be able to see even by looking here is that I've shaded half of this, but I can also use divisibility rules, right? 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this is going to be equal to 1/2. All right. Then we've got another example here. So we're going to move on to example 3. And you'll notice today, everything we're going to deal with adding fractions wise, we're starting with the same denominator pretty much. Oops. Or we need it to be having the same denominator. So that's where we are looking at. Oops. There we are. That's what I want. All right. So here we've got 2/3 plus 1/3. So 2/3. So 2 out of the 3 pieces are shaded, plus 1/3. Right, so I've got 2 from up there, 1 from over here. So they all end up being shaded in. So this is going to be equal to 3/3, which I can simplify, and I can look down here and say, hey, guess what? The whole thing is shaded in, so that's equal to 1. I guess I could divide top and bottom by 3 and get 1 over 1, but it's really just 1. Remember, if the top and bottom of our fraction are the same number, so if it's 3/3 or 4/4 or 5/5 or whatever, it's always equal to 1. Right, there we go. So then a quick question here. What do you notice about adding fractions that have the same denominator? Well, what stays the same and what is changed? Well, guess what? Until we simplify, until we try to find lowest terms, the denominator stays the same. So one of the things about adding fractions with the same denominator is we don't add denominators, right? So look back onto the last page. In none of these, like we don't end up here with, oh, this is going to be 2/12. No. The bottom, those bottom numbers, the denominator stays the same. Same thing here. This is 2/4, not 2/8. And same thing here. This is not 3/6 as our final answer. It is 3/3. All right, so now the question here, what do you notice about adding fractions with the same denominator? So number one, and I'm going to just type this in because nobody wants me to write full sentences here. The denominator stays the same, only the numerator, the top number, is added. Okay, so that would be one thing. I mean, you could word that in your own words. I'm okay with that. But that's basically the gist of what we're going to have here. Right? The denominator will stay the same, only the numerator is added. All right? Your turn. All right, so one of the things you should notice, I hope, in all of these examples is we can write them with a picture, and I'd like you to be able to understand what the picture is, be able to do the pictures, but you don't have to necessarily show the picture every time. Right? We can look at this first one, and I'm going to do the first one here for you. And if you're going to show your work and not draw a picture, this is what I expect. This is going to be equal to, and we're going to simplify it, and again, you're going to think, Mr. Parker, you're being silly. We're going to simplify this as 2 plus 1/5. That's our kind of middle step. That's showing me that you know that the denominator is going to stay the same. It's still going to be 5, and the only thing we're adding is the two numerators. So 2 plus 1 is 3. And my answer is 3/5. Then I look to see, is this in lowest terms? In this case, yes it is. I cannot divide 3 and 5 by the same number to make it smaller. And so I'm done. Your turn now to do the last two. All right. I will put answers down here in just a moment, but I want you to do these ones first on your own. And make sure you're putting your answer into lowest terms. So you got to look to see, hey, can I divide the numerator and the denominator by the same thing? All right, so pause it and do these last two questions real quick. I will put answers up here in a moment. I am just going to put final answers. And if you have questions about those final answers, then you'll need to ask me in class. So final answer here. Again, pause it if you haven't tried them. And final answer here. Both of these I had to simplify to get to where they were. So the first one, you may have seen 6/12. Second one here, you may have seen 6/9. All right. This takes you on to your assignment. All right. And this is going to be it for the assignment. There will be a bit of a worksheet or a Go formative. I have yet to determine how that's going to be that you'll need to do with this one. All right. Have fun.